So I was attending the University of California, San Diego as a computer scientist in college. And in my senior year, I dropped out to start a company. I figured I'd probably fail, had no business experience, and then I'd go back to school, finish the last few classes, and get my degree. Of course, all my heroes were, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and people like that were all dropouts. And so it was really important to me. I wanted to be a dropout. So when I had my first idea, I went out there totally expecting to fail. I had some beginner's luck. I started succeeding immediately. Before I was 22 years old, I had hundreds of people working for me. I was generating millions of dollars in profits when I was 22. I then sold that company, started another company. This company never had a penny in revenue. I just had 45 engineers working for me. We built some products, and even before it was ready to go to market, we were showing off the product at a conference, and then a big computer company, Unisys Corporation, acquired the company. And so here I was, almost 24, I had sold my second company, had millions and millions of dollars in the bank, and I retired. I went around the world and I did what a young man at that age might do when he has a lot of money. And to be honest, it didn't take long, just a couple of months before I started to get bored. And then I started to get depressed. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I thought I had everything a person could want. And so I decided I would go back to school and study psychology. And so that's what I did. I went back to school to study psychology, not to get my degree, to try to figure out what was wrong with me. Why was I not happy for the first time in my life, really? And what I learned was this incredible thing that has helped to guide me ever since that. And basically, I learned of a fellow named Abraham Maslow, who was a student of Freud. And basically, he had studied thousands of people, a lot of successful people too, mostly successful people. And he sort of concluded that there's a pattern that he saw with all of them. And that is, as human beings, what we're looking for, first of all, is for our physiological needs to be taken care of. Like food and the ability to sleep at night. And then after we're fed and we're not worried about food again, all of a sudden we start thinking about our safety needs. We need a place to stay at nighttime, we don't get mugged and no one bothers us when we're sleeping. And then after we have that taken care of, we then sort of graduate to the next level where we start looking for love and belonging. And by the way, along the way there, if we get hungry, guess what? We're right back down to level 1, looking for food, right? Or if our apartment, if the roof has a leak and we need a new place to stay tonight, we say to everyone, hey, listen, I got to run. I got to go find a place to sleep tonight, right? And so we start looking for love when we get to level 3. And once we feel like we have enough love and we're satisfied in that area as well, we start looking for more. We start looking for respect and esteem. We want to know that we're good at something, and that people around us respect us and think we're good at something. And so I think going back to my story, this is what I had achieved in my early to mid 20s. And after that, as I went around the world and I retired, I started to realize I wasn't happy. And what I had learned going back to school is what I was lacking was purpose, the 5th level. When you have all 4 levels taken care of, you start longing for purpose. And that's what it was. I had made money, but I didn't really have purpose. I had considered maybe buying a whole bunch of McDonald's and putting managers in there, and thought, well, what's the point of that? I get to the end of my life, so what did I do? I made a bunch of people fat. What would the point of that be? And so I realized that I had a gift, my computer science, and that I should put it to some use. And if I don't, I'm never going to be happy. And that sort of became the driving force of my life. And I realized I need to do something big that makes the world better in some way, and I need to get started on that. So I took a couple years to do a lot of research and try to figure out what I wanted to do with my computer science skills, where it wasn't really about making money for me, but it was about doing something great for the world. And so ultimately, this is where I landed. The problem I wanted to solve, the problem I learned about, was that half the world was living on $2 or less per day. Not a lot. And the reason behind that was they just were unlucky. They were born in geographic areas where there was no strong economy. Listen, you and I likely were born in areas where there's a strong economy, a lot of money changing hands, and it doesn't take much. You just go online and go to Craigslist or go to the Monster or to an Indeed, and you'll find a job, and you'll be making a lot more than $2 a day. You'll be making a lot more than $2 an hour, right? And you won't starve. But in all of these geographic areas where a strong economy doesn't exist, they don't have that option. And so the big idea was, what if using technology, which is what I knew how to do, what if I built a global economy, right, that people could access with their computer, right? And by the way, what's the definition of an economy? Well, it's the means of production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. So imagine an online economy, for, using your imagination, imagine a social network where people can post things to sell products and services and make money, and there's a currency in there. It's a real economy, like the country we live in, right? And so I launched my product in the year 1993. It was one of the very first social networks out there. I'd never heard of a social network, so if there were others, I hadn't heard of them. And so I figured, let's get people communicating, was my sort of idea, and then we'll add the commerce stuff. And my strategy was go to the college market first. And so it was certainly the first social network focused on the college market. It became one of the world's most heavily trafficked websites, and the number one web property in the world for that demographic, for the 18 to 24 demographic. Now, fast forward to 2000, we had beat all our competition, and we filed to go public, right? And so very quickly here, and because you'll see how it relates to everything we're doing here, the secret to our success was that we signed up local shops and restaurants to give student discounts to college students. We had learned that students love student discounts. So the way we get them is talk to the merchants that are trying to get these students in, especially the merchants around campus, and ask them to give a student discount. And then if the students want to get those discounts, they have to sign up for our platform. We did that. Millions of students joined our platform. And so to learn from this approach that we had that brought in millions of students, we received investments of $5 million from NBC. Sony gave us $8 million, $15 million from GM, and another $50 million from US venture capital firms and investors, all to invest in the company and to learn what we were doing because the college market was so highly sought after. And so anyways, back to the timeline here. We beat out all our competition. We filed to go public. Let me tell you what we learned here. We learned how to build and manage a large company and a social network, right? I learned to work with local merchants and what they want and how to sign them up fast, how to attract college students into the platform. And I also learned how corrupt the finance world is as the whole .com craziness happened. And so right after we filed to go public, this thing called the .com crash happened. You may have heard of it, but the NASDAQ crashed. It pretty much lost 80% of its value. NASDAQ is the index for technology stocks. Lost 80% of its value. No more initial public offerings. My company was sold by one of the corrupt venture capitalists that was involved there. And so the company was sold on a Monday in October of 2000, and I started the movement, this project, on that same Thursday. Remember, I had learned my lesson that if I'm not working on something that's got great purpose to it, where I feel like I'm contributing, I'm not happy. And so I didn't let much time go by, literally 3 days from the time the venture capitalist sold the company till I started this. Okay, so let's talk about, all of this will make a lot more sense to you in a moment, by the way, why I'm telling you all of this. So we started the movement in 2000, and the problem was now, very similar, because of the internet though, income inequality and poverty were now exploding more than ever, and even in first world countries like the US. Notice that when before the internet came around, income inequality, or the percent of income going to the top 1%, was going down. That was a good thing. And then the internet came around, and it made it really easy for anyone with technical skills and a lot of money to grab market share fast and monopolize entire global industries. Just think of what Google did with access to information globally. Think about Facebook with communications, or Uber and Lyft with how they're monopolizing the taxi business globally, right? And so as a result of that, you've got a few hundred or a few thousand tech workers doing well that work for those companies, but then all the drivers, in the case of Uber and Lyft, they're all the people that are working on Amazon, employees or distributors, sellers trying to sell stuff, they're just getting squeezed because all of those companies are Wall Street funded. And Wall Street wants profits, right? They want you to extract money away from all the people trying to earn in there, because otherwise it wouldn't be a profit if you were taking all the profits and spending it on the people trying to earn in those platforms, right? And that's causing all of this income inequality. So that was the first big problem that was happening, and it was obviously very much similar to why I started the college portal, which was to attack poverty, right? And now everywhere around the world you see this red line growing, and it's causing a lot of unhappiness, populist movements, which means people are easy victims to any person that would tell them that they're going to make their country great or do this or do that for them, and just throw out ideas that have no backing, because when people lose hope, they become easy targets for anyone looking for power. Now, there was a second problem that had become very clear that was happening. That was the climate crisis. Specifically, the amount of CO2 that was being emitted was going through the roof, and had become very clear from the scientists that this was a existential threat for humanity. And so with that same platform, with the movement, the big idea is to build a global economy using technology that doesn't take money from Wall Street. Therefore, we can push all our profits to participants, right? Including billions for consumers. Just think about this. Imagine Facebook today. It's got billions of users. It's generating billions in profits, and it hoards it so that it could say to Wall Street, see, we've got all these profits. Imagine if it took all that and pumped it back to its users, right? It would be stimulus. And imagine if those users could then buy and sell stuff to each other. It'd be the world's largest economy, right? But it's not doing that because it wants to hoard those profits. Otherwise, down goes the stock. All the founders are no longer billionaires, and employees leave because their stock options are underwater, and all kinds of bad things happen. So our big idea is, first of all, build a global economy using technology that doesn't take any money from Wall Street, pushes all of its profits back to the people that are trying to earn from it, which are consumers, it's small businesses, as you'll see in a moment, and territory owners that can help roll out the platform globally. So that's the big idea that attacks that income inequality. But what about the climate crisis? Let's talk about that. The idea there is to build and provide all of the logistics required to enable the sharing of everything. What am I talking about? I'm talking about products from bikes to camping gear to you name it. Imagine being able to open up your phone, right? Almost like getting an Uber. You find some camping gear that you need for the weekend. You press a button, and in less than an hour, someone delivers it for you. And you use the camping gear for maybe $5 or $10 a day. And when you're done, you press a button, someone comes and grabs it, and it's gone. You don't have to store it. You don't have to wash it, clean it, figure out how to, maintain it. All of that's taken care of. Think about what that means for you as a consumer. It's that, you've got access to virtually anything you need, cheap and quick, right? And so the result for consumers is, first of all, near complete abundance. Virtually anything you might want or need in your hands fast, right? Unparalleled convenience, because this is even better than buying things, right? I could go to Amazon and spend $500 or $1,000 on that camping gear and have it in 2 days if I have Amazon Prime, but now I can get it in less than an hour, and it costs me $5 or $10 a day. Incredible abundance, unparalleled convenience. Just think everything fast and free. Everything, right? That's the abundance we talked about. Fast in your hands in an hour or less, and free. I don't really mean free, but I mean virtually free. In other words, instead of spending $500 or $1,000 on camping gear, I can get it for $5 or $10 a day. And because I can earn in this platform from posting and sharing, the very things that I'm used to doing in social networking for free, now I get paid for that. I could use that money for the camping gear. In essence, making the camping gear totally free for me, right? And if you're the person that has the camping gear, guess what? You can make some money by renting that out every day. So conveniently, right? Again, transport, everything's taken care of. Currency, what if someone steals it, breaks it, collateral, customer service, everything that's needed to make that happen for you as a person that wants to make money from it, or as a person that wants to rent things, everything's provided. Okay, yeah, but how does this help the planet and the climate crisis? Well, it successfully uses that abundance, convenience, and the earnings people can generate from it to successfully promote the sharing of nearly everything over everyone owning one of everything, right? Instead of everyone owning camping gear again and putting it in their storage for 99% of the time, now that camping gear can go round and round and be shared, so everyone doesn't need to own one of everything. In the process, it helps collapse the consumption of natural resources. For manufacturing, millions of things daily that are hardly used, right? Most products spend 99% of their life in a cupboard, on a shelf, in a garage, in storage, right? And helps to collapse CO2 emissions. And so we started building all those technologies in the year 2000 while simultaneously working to pay the bills. Remember I said we haven't taken any money from investors. $250 million has been spent to build the platform. It's very expensive to build a platform like this. 100% of it came from our patents, things we invented, and from our community. Not a single penny from Wall Street or Silicon Valley, venture capitalists, investors, or banks. Although we've had, out of the blue, all sorts of billionaires like this fellow you might have heard of, like the Rockefellers you might have heard. This fellow is the #1 tech investor in the world. Here's his actual offer letter he gave us. He valued us at $180 million when he gave us that offer, which he claimed was the highest offer he's ever placed on what's called a Series A investment, the first investment into a company is called Series A. He was the first investor into Google, the first investor into Amazon, and dozens and dozens of other companies you've heard of, making him the #1 most successful tech investor over a 40-year period. So for him to say in his 40-year period he's never given a Series A $180 million is a big feather in our cap. And ultimately, we thanked him and said no for the reasons that I talked about earlier. Our objective isn't to create billionaires and millionaires out of this for ourselves. Our objective is to create an online economy where we're not just constantly trying to figure out how to get profits out, but if there's profits to be had, we turn around and spend it, give it to the people in the platform that are making money, sort of like stimulus. And that means when they have money to spend, so all of the people trying to sell products and services all of a sudden find customers. And you can see how it goes round and round, almost like a stimulus that a government would do. And so we had to, making this was much harder to do because we didn't raise any money. So we had to constantly figure out ways to pay the bills while continuing to build that. Along the way, we invented much of what we today all use and know as the internet. Everything from virtual currency. You've heard of things like cryptocurrency is a form of virtual currency. We invented that. We have a patent to prove it. Transactions over mobile devices. Just think about the millions and millions of transactions worth billions of dollars that are happening daily through phones. Apps and social networks, our Facebook apps, Twitter apps, any social network or social platform that lets third-party developers launch apps. That's one of our patents, which proves that we invented it. Any kind of transactions with that app. So apps that you've done transactions within billions and billions of dollars. We own the patent on that. In fact, if you want to see our patents, just go to google.com/patents. That is their patent search tool. In the search box then, after you get to that page, type in POUSTI, and what you'll see is all of our patents, but you'll also see a ton of patents from Google and Microsoft and all of these other companies. And why do those show up when you search on our co-founder's name? The reason for that is because our patent portfolio is so broad that a lot of these companies, when they file their patents, they're being rejected by the patent office now, saying that we got there first. And so now what they're doing, right when they file their patents, they're naming our patents and say, listen, you're gonna reject us for these reasons. Don't reject us, just listen to how we're different. And so that should give you a sense of how broad our patent portfolio is, that Google is mentioning us right in their patent filings. Okay, so let's fast forward to the year 2020, last year. Major technology development was complete. That is comprised of everything from our social network that we spent many years building. It's incredibly awesome. It is definitely where the future. If you've watched a film called The Social Dilemma on Netflix, if you haven't watched it, you should watch it and see everything that's wrong with today's social media. We've solved those problems. Took us many years of focus. We've got a messenger in there for that's like WhatsApp, marketplace. Imagine an eBay, but for products and services. It's got auction or fixed price, one-off or recurring revenue, currency, customer service, everything somebody needs, the layperson to make money providing products and services, provided to them for free. There's consumers can order food and products just like you would from a Grubhub or a DoorDash. And then when you do that ordering, the merchants need apps for their tablets to see the orders, to process the orders. You've got drivers that need to deliver the apps. We built all of that. Our own cryptocurrency so that all of that within the platform can happen with our currency without constantly having to give all that money to the banks. And then the merchants need their own CRM. Managers, the student workers, they all have their own platforms so they can see transactions, cash out, do what they need to. And so all of those things are integrated into a singular, seamless, unified platform. It's the only platform of its type out there. And so we finished the major technology development in the year 2020 and began testing our marketing approach. So the marketing approach is we start with the college market. Remember what I did in that other platform? I learned how to work with merchants and college students. Well, remember later, after that, Facebook did that, right? That's how they went to market. They went to the college market first. It's a great way to go to market because college students are very open. They're always looking for the next thing. We know how to get college students into the platform. So we're going to start with the college market. And then after we have all the college students, we'll open it up to everyone else. So the idea is we create an opportunity, a financial opportunity for territory owners, right? Each territory, we'll get into some of the specifics here in a second, is owned by someone. They earn from 10 different revenue streams. And basically how it goes is they get student discounts from local merchants, which brings in the students. So that was last year. Fast forward to this year. Territory owners now purchase local territories. They purchase these territories for approximately $120,000 for each territory. And by the way, you're going to get one of these territories for free if you're selected to join our platform, because we want you for our leadership, but in order to be a great leader, you need to know what they're doing. And so we'd like to give you a territory completely free of charge, as you'll see in a second. Territory managers receive everything they need. We provide everything. It's $1 million annual opportunity for them in profits. And now we're moving to rapidly capture the global market. And so here in Q2 of 2021, we're launching the Accelerated Leadership Program.